From his youth, Hercules, the mighty son of Zeus, displayed clear indicators of the greatness that lay ahead. His prodigious strength, unwavering bravery, and remarkable skill in battle were already renowned throughout Greece. Even before the famous 12 labors, Hercules had earned a notable reputation with impressive feats. While still quite young, he fought in epic battles, overcoming perilous creatures and facing warriors feared across the land. His unparalleled courage and strength shone in confrontations with ferocious lions, threatening giants, and legendary beasts that terrorized entire villages. These early heroic achievements helped solidify his growing renown, foreshadowing the glorious and arduous fate that awaited him. King Eurystheus, though he occupied the mighty throne of Mycenae, was known for his insecure and fearful nature. Unlike Hercules, Eurystheus lacked notable courage or strength, and often hid behind his castle walls at the slightest threat. His reputation among his subjects was marked by scorn and a lack of admiration, for all knew his authority had been unfairly won through Hera's vindictive influence. Aware of his own shortcomings, Eurystheus deeply resented the heroic and imposing presence of Hercules, seeing him as a constant threat to his fragile rule. Yet, despite being admired and respected by many, Hercules was forced to exist under the shadow of King Eurystheus. Since Hera had ensured that Eurystheus ruled Mycenae, Hercules was deprived of his rightful claim. It was with profound disgust that Hercules obeyed King Eurystheus, a man he considered inferior in strength, courage, and virtue. When Eurystheus imposed the first labors on him, the young hero's indignation grew unbearable. Determined to understand his fate, Hercules went to consult the famous Oracle of Delphi, seeking to learn whether he was truly obliged to bow to the whims of his usurping cousin. The Oracle of Delphi stood as one of the most sacred and revered sites in ancient Greece, located within the temple dedicated to Apollo. Regarded as the spiritual center of the Greek world, kings, heroes, and ordinary folk traveled from everywhere for counsel and guidance about their futures. The oracle's priestess, known as the Pythia, would enter a trance and communicate directly with the gods, revealing prophecies that often shaped important political decisions and the personal destinies of those who sought her wisdom. Her words were treated as the expression of divine will, holding the power to influence the course of history and human lives. Inside that sacred temple, the oracle's priestess delivered an unexpected prophecy to the young hero. Each labor Hercules undertook would not only diminish the dishonestly obtained power of Eurystheus, but also amplify his own glory and renown among mortals and gods alike. Despite the encouraging promise, Hercules felt restless and frustrated, for in his heart he still harbored hope of being freed from the humiliating orders imposed by his despised cousin. Unbeknownst to him, this vulnerability opened the way for the cunning and vengeful Hera to intervene once more in his life, preparing to cast an even darker, more devastating shadow over his path. Hercules, still shaken by the prophecy that had failed to bring him the relief he sought, sank into deep anguish. His restless mind searched for a solution, a way to escape the fate imposed by the gods' envy. Seizing this moment of emotional frailty, Hera decided to unleash her cruelest vengeance upon him. Hera sent Lysa, the goddess of madness, to visit Hercules and sow in his mind the insidious seed of insanity, clouding his judgment and filling his thoughts with terrifying visions. Hercules began to perceive dreadful monsters and savage beasts emerging from every direction, creatures that threatened him relentlessly and demanded a constant, desperate struggle. Unaware that these apparitions were nothing more than treacherous illusions, Hercules waged epic and brutally violent battles against foes that existed only in his mind. With his overwhelming strength, he tore down walls, smashed furniture, and confronted monstrous shadows with powerful strikes and furious roars that echoed through the night, terrifying everyone nearby. Each clash was marked by uncontrolled brutality, and the ferocity of Zeus's son seemed boundless as he fought enemies born solely of his tormented imagination. When that tragic delirium finally lifted and he regained consciousness, Hercules beheld a scene that tore his soul from his body. His own hands were drenched in blood, and at his feet lay the lifeless forms of those he loved most, his beloved children and his wife Megara, innocent victims of the devastating madness sent by the vengeful Hera. Upon fully grasping the magnitude of the horror he had wrought, Hercules felt a pain so deep and suffocating that his heart seemed about to burst. Consumed by guilt and despair, he chose to abandon Mycenae and embark on self-imposed exile, wandering through distant lands without any clear direction, tormented by the constant memory of the crimes he had committed against his own family. Racked by guilt and hopelessness, Hercules descended into a profound depression, perpetually haunted by the terrible recollections of what he had done to those he held dear. He felt utterly broken, questioning his right to live after inflicting such suffering on his loved ones. The crushing pain led him to doubt whether any future could exist for him. It was during this period of isolation and deep sorrow that Theseus, the famed Athenian hero, found Hercules in his state of utter desolation. Theseus, who had always held great admiration and respect for Zeus's son, extended his hand in solidarity, offering comfort and hope to his friend in his darkest hour. With Theseus's steady and generous support, Hercules gradually began to emerge from the emotional abyss in which he was trapped. At first, he resisted the solace offered by his friend, believing that no amount of compassion could ease his immense pain or the crushing guilt that weighed on his heart. But Theseus remained patient and steadfast, reminding Hercules of his virtues and past heroism, insisting that the man before him was still worthy of admiration and respect. Slowly, these words began to pierce the thick clouds of despair engulfing Hercules' mind, igniting within him an almost forgotten spark of hope. Though deep, his emotional wounds began to heal under his friend's patient care and empathetic understanding, allowing Hercules to tentatively believe once more in the possibility of redemption and a future in which he could reclaim part of what he had lost. Finally, with renewed determination fueled by Theseus's unwavering calming presence, Hercules resolved to return to Mycenae. Beside his faithful friend, he felt stronger and more prepared to embark on the arduous path of redemption. Knowing this journey would be long and difficult, he was determined to submit to King Eurystheus' orders, humiliating as they might be, willing to pay any price to relieve the crushing weight of his guilt and purify himself of the terrible sins still haunting his heart. With humility never before seen in someone of such power, Hercules presented himself before King Eurystheus, kneeling in front of him, his face etched with suffering and his eyes brimming with genuine tears. With a voice heavy with emotion and remorse, the hero begged for forgiveness, imploring for a chance to atone and cleanse himself of the terrible sins he had committed. Eurystheus, surprised and secretly pleased to see great Hercules submissive and vulnerable, agreed to grant him the opportunity for redemption, imposing upon him a series of labors impossible for any ordinary mortal to accomplish. Thus began the saga of Hercules' 12 labors, epic challenges that would be forever etched into history as the supreme example of strength, courage, and determination in the face of adversity.